I said that, Mr. Chairman.
You did, yes. And then there was the tea break. Then after that, when I asked you, you then said, the other story, which is that it was, you yourself had never seen it in 6 years. If it was there, it would have been kept by Mr. Carly Miles, and if he kept it, it would only be used for shooting practice, which I said is not acceptable as an answer, or rather is incompatible. And you considered that it was incompatible with your earlier answer, but you tried to reconcile the two. Remember that?
You're correct, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. In the last answer that you gave before lunch, you then said something about hearsay. You gave another long explanation before we broke, but then you said you didn't want to give the commission hearsay and so on and so on. What were you referring to in relation to hearsay and this SSG story?
In relation to the hearsay and SSG story, there's nothing that comes to mind that has any reflection on the other whatsoever. I was referring to hearsay with regards to information received on the 12th and the 11th.
No, I'm sorry to cut you. So sorry to cut you. You can continue.
No, you can ask your question, sir.
Okay. Now, I was saying, I'm not talking about the 11th or the 12th. I'm saying the very last answer that you gave before we broke for lunch. Remember, the chairperson said, do you want to answer now or later? And then you said you wanted to answer now. Then.
Mr. Chairman, if I recall, I think the word I used was assume, to rectify the answer I firstly gave. And if that is such a big issue, I think we can go back to my first statement made by myself. I actually only meant that if we had such rounds, it would be kept in the vault. And if the rounds were to be used, it would be used for shooting practice. Now, the events leading up to the 16th and the 16th itself, when you made a comment earlier with regards to shooting practice, and some of the members laughed, truly and strongly feel that that is definitely not a laughing matter, but it wasn't shooting practice for us, and we didn't practice on anything on that day either.
Yeah, no, fine. If there's anyone who laughed, I think you're right, they were out of order. It's not a laughing matter, as I said to you, that some of the deceased people were found from the objective evidence to have been shot with this SSG. And that's why I started this after lunch by showing you the seriousness of the issue that you and I are dealing with. Now, I'm saying to you, I've moved from the fact that you have contradicted yourself, at least at face value, and you have tried to give us an explanation for that. I'm moving from that. I'm saying in the course of that explanation, you said partly it was because you did not want to give the commission hearsay. Now, I want to know what hearsay were you referring to in relation to the SSG?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. With regards to the SSG matter, I was only trying to express myself with regards to I cannot testify as to what type of rounds we do keep in the vault. Because I'm not familiar with the amount of rounds and the type of ammunition that is kept. What I can testify on my own behalf is that since I started working at Lonman and I obtained my weapon competency and my weapon proficiency, I was never issued with SSGs. I was only issued with AAAs and rubber rounds. And just to elaborate on that is all the shooting exercises that I undertake as a range officer at Lonman Shooting Range were all undertaken by AAAs, and I haven't used SSGs, so I just wanted to try and explain in that regard.
Okay, all right. The SSG pellets are compatible with the shotgun that you were holding in that picture, correct?
That's correct. It's a 12 gauge round, yes.
Yes. And even there at scene 2, I just don't have the exhibit number now, there are SSG cartridges that were found in the pictures. So obviously the SSG pellets were used both at scene 1 and at scene 2. Do you understand that?
I understand, but I do not have any knowledge of that, sir.
Yeah. No, the where I'm going is this, Mr. Lowe. Since these SSG pellets are a motherless child, nobody wants to own up to them. The only person, it's either they came from SABC or they came from Lonmin. Those are the people who are wielding guns, shotguns there.
Sorry, I don't. My learned friend must also please bear in mind that there was a stolen Lonman shotgun on the Sunday. One of the guns that was removed on the Sunday was a stolen.
You're correct. There are three possible sources, as it were, of the expended cartridge cases. The one is the police, they deny it. The one is the strikers, only from one shotgun, but it is a possibility. And the third possibility is Lonman. Lonman's the one Mr. Mpofu is concentrating on at the moment.
Yes, that's the one. In fact, yes, it's true. Theoretically, obviously, SSG could have come from anybody, including the Sangoma and all that. But those other possibilities are so fanciful as to be disregarded. I'm saying to you, in relation to...
No, I don't know whether in relation to the police it's so fanciful. It may be that their denial is correct, but it doesn't make it make the suggestion a fanciful one. But the Lonman is certainly a horse in the race, as it were, and it's worthy of further investigation.
No, I agree with you, Chairperson. I'm saying that the most likely would be the police or Lonman. Obviously, on the law that anything is possible, it could be Father Christmas or anybody else.
It could have been the strikers, or a striker, who had a Lonman shotgun acquired on the morning of the 12th.
And did what?
Sorry?
And killed people next to the kraal, and then went to scene 2 as well, really. I mean, that's so fanciful as to be disregarded. That's the point I'm making. Well, I'm not saying it's impossible.
Well, you're arguing that in advance, that's all. You may be right.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I don't want to argue it now, yeah. But coming back to reality, the point I'm saying is that if I'll argue this later, so I might be right, I might be wrong, but the realistic possibilities of the source of the SSG are the police or Lonmin. Just accept that's what I'll argue, successfully or not later. Do you understand?
I understand it, Mr. Chairman.
Now I'm saying, if we take away the police, we've done and we've dealt with it with the police and we've taken them to task. It was also found in Mutuklung and all that. Now I'm saying, if you put that aside, as far as Lonmin is concerned, you sitting there are the only person that we see holding a shotgun that is compatible with SSG. Do you understand that?
On the 16th? On
the 16th, yeah. Literally within a few meters or so of where the cartridges, the scene 2 cartridges were found. So you are the only person that I can ask this.
What the photo evidence shows on that picture, obviously it shows me standing with a shotgun, but I think if you make the assumption that I'm the only one that had a shotgun on the 16th, I think that's a bit far-fetched with regards to the rounds that...
Let me ask you a direct question.
Yes, sir.
How many of your colleagues from London were on Copy 3? You were there, your colleague who's in the photograph, accompanying the Netcare people. Were any other London people there on Copy 3 after the shooting incident at Scene 2?
Yes, there were.
How many?
I'm not quite sure of the amount, but it's anything between 8 and 14.
And did any of them have shotguns?
Yes, I think most of us had shotguns, yes, sir.
Well, the person you are standing there during your smoke break next to it didn't have a shotgun, did it?
There were about between 8 and 14 people. The picture only gives 2 of them.
Yes, I know.
It's possible that some of the others may have... And he says that most of the others had shotguns.
Yeah,
So
but
he's
I'm
not the
entitled to
only-
ask him.
No, I'm not stopping you from answering. I'm just saying.
Okay.
The question created the impression with me that you were suggesting he was the only one there. If you were confining yourself to the only one on the photograph, then there isn't a problem.
No, I just said he was the only one in the photograph. That's exactly what I said. He's the only one that we see. That means on the photograph. I'm not suggesting that anyone else was was only carrying gloves. Let's have a look at, is it triple M51? Yes, you can see that SSG cartridge there.
I can see that, yes.
Yeah. Now, that, I don't know the exact location, but it was found at scene 2, which is where you were, not far from where you were standing with your shotgun.
No, it is quite a, in a pod.
It's quite a distance away from where you were standing.
Yes, sir.
And what do you base that?
If I understand correctly, scene 2 is the one in front of the main copy, if I'm not mistaken.
Scene 2 is the whole of copy 3 because a
whole of
number
copy
of people were killed, various spots. Scene 1, they were all concentrated in one place. It all happened in 8 seconds. Scene 2 was over several minutes at copy 3. A number of strikers in various positions were shot. Some were wounded and some were killed. It may well be that this particular spot was on a different part of the copy from where you were photographed, but the fact is it was at scene 2. There's no doubt about that.
So it's still at copy 3 then?
Yes.
Okay.
No, that's fine. I understand.
Okay.
It's quite
Yes.
confusing. Scene 2 and copy 3. And
Yeah.
all
Okay.
that.
No, I understand now.
Yeah. The point I'm making is that this. Well, do you know what that is, by the way?
Yeah, like you said, it might be a SSG round.
All right. Well, it's been identified as such before.
I think it's a round. I think it's a
Cartridge. Yes.
Yeah, that's just one. I'm not going to show you all of them. I'm just using this one as an example. And really, the only evidence I want from you is or rather to put to you, which is that this was found at scene 2, which is the same scene of the photograph where you were holding the shotgun.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay.
I've been shown by Mr. Wesley a piece of paper saying your time is up, but I did indicate that there was some time left over from Mr. Tip, so I'll allow you an extra quarter of an hour.
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, thank you. Well, Mr. Tip has donated this time, but the chair had already given.
You complain when I give people extra time, but on this occasion I'm sure you won't complain. You can have an extra quarter of an hour.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let's just go to something else. Do you accept that the deployments, or let me put it this way, is it true that, I mean, you're not a military organization or anything like that, but it's true that your deployments are determined hierarchically from above, as it were?
That's correct, sir.
Yes. And you would accept that the deployments of your group of 2 and as well as the deployment of the Fundi group, let's call it that, were unwise?
I do not disagree, sir.
You think they were wise?
I do not agree, excuse me.
You don't agree?
No, sir.
You think it was wise to deploy 2 people against 1,000 armed protesters? That was a wise decision.
Well, if I'm sitting here looking back at it now, then obviously it was not a wise decision, as lives were lost at that day. As I mentioned previously, I think our main focus was to protect Lonmin assets and especially Lonmin personnel. And that includes all members of Lonmin personnel. And I think that was our main aim. As I also mentioned in the previous occasion, is that with all the other strikes leading up to the 12th of August 2012, we have never dealt with a situation like that at Lonmin.
Yes. No, we've already established earlier, I don't want us to go back there, that there was no Lonmin personnel or property that was under any threat of attack. The point I was simply making now was, is your evidence that deploying 2 persons with rubber bullets and 1 vehicle to stop a armed crowd of more than 1,000 people, you regard that as a wise deployment?
Not to stop a crowd, no.
And that's exactly what you were going to do, to try and prevent the crowd from getting anywhere near any Lonmin property, correct?
Correct.
According to you, yeah. Similarly, the deployment of Mr. Fundi and Mr. Mabelane, which was in the hostel, I think we're going to argue was similarly unwise. Would you agree?
If that's your opinion, yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I know what I've told you. It's definitely my opinion. That's why I said we're going to argue. I'm asking for your opinion.
My opinion is no, sir. I don't think my decision, my and Mr. Foster's decision, or the decision by Mr. Fundi and his group, I don't think neither of them were wrong. We had every right to protect Lonmin assets, and we had every right to protect human life.
Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Okay, and I feel that our right to protect our assets and our people didn't justify an unwarranted attack by an illegal strike action which caused 2 security members to die. That's my opinion.
Yes, no, thank you for that, Mr. Lowe. Don't get me wrong. Nothing can justify killing innocent people who just happen to be between some intended target and the group. That's not where I'm going. All I'm saying is that you and I have agreed that the deployments, it's not so much that Mr. Fundi and Mr. Mabelane were wrong. You've already established that they did not deploy themselves. They were deployed from above, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Yeah. So if there was anything wrong, it was not their fault. It was whoever deployed them there. That's why I'm criticizing not the victims, but the people who deployed them in a particular manner. Understand? In the same way as you, I wouldn't blame you to say, why were you standing on that island? Because you were deployed there, correct?
Correct, sir.
Yeah. And in fact, there's one of your colleagues, I just can't find the statement now, who says that even on the 10th, he realized that the deployment that they had was quite dangerous if the crowd had not been as peaceful as it was. But maybe you don't know anything about it. You were not on the actual scene on the 10th, correct?
No, I was.
Foster.
I think the 10th, the reference is being made when the crowd wanted to talk to management, and we were standing in the area between the striking workers and the main building. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
It's obvious that if the crowd had turned ugly and had attacked you people in the position in which you were, you couldn't have difficult for you to get away.
No.
And there would have been very serious consequences. But
that's correct.
As Mr. Mpofu says, the crowd was relatively peaceful, or perhaps I'll take out the relatively, they were peaceful, and in fact wasn't a problem. But
that's correct.
That's the thrust of his question.
Yes, Chairperson. No, the gentleman says, I'm paraphrasing, I'm afraid I'll find the I'm told it's a statement of Foster, your colleague. It goes something like this, and forgive me, I might not be capturing it correctly. That where he starts by saying the the crowd. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Tip. He says, it occurred to me that this group of illegal gatherers were far more disciplined than any previous rioting group I encountered before. I don't know if this is already an affidavit, rather an exhibit, Chairperson. Foster is going to be called.
It's not. It's not an exhibit.
No. Okay. Well, then can we just make it an exhibit, Chairperson?
Yes, all right. What's the exhibit number? I think we're at quadruple D6. Statement of Martin Forster. What's the date?
The date of the statement?
Yeah.
The 3rd and 4th October, it says. But it's signed on... No, it just says dated 3rd and 4th October.
All right. Well, we put 3-4 October.
Statement of Martin Forster.
Yes, I've written that. Statement of Martin Forster, 3-4 October 2012, quadruple D6.
Thank you, Chairperson.
On the screen for us.
Oh, there you are. Yeah.
Let's see at the end of it signed, we get the date in which it was signed.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. It's the third one, two,
no,
three.
it doesn't tell us.
The third paragraph.
No, the date's not there. Yeah.
It's okay. Yes.
Let's see a bit more of it. Let's see a bit more of it. No, it's below down.
Want to go to the heading?
The heading has got your 3 and 4.
Yes.
I was hoping it near the end of it. Oh, we've now got it. Okay.
No, it's not. I checked that. It's not. You can't find an end that is signed. At least not on my version.
So because I've got 3-4.
Yes.
October.
Yeah. And I'm only dealing with page 1. Thank you, Chairperson. It's the third paragraph from the top.
Yeah. Why are we busy with that point? I trust Mr. Mpofu will forgive me if I interpose.
I will.
Well, you haven't heard what the interposition
For a few minutes.
Would you agree with what Mr. Forster said? He says what occurred to him. That this was a very, very disciplined group. We've never seen a disciplined group like that before. Is that was that your impression as well?
Mr. Chairman, as I explained earlier during my my statements, was that obviously this group was more disciplined than previously observed, with the exception on the matters as I've explained on the marching from Wonderkop to the LPD offices, where you had your group that gathered together. But yes, approximately 80% of the group was together, but you had your individuals that were lacking behind. But yes, I would agree with that statement, yes.
And I put to you what is set out in the second sentence of the paragraph, namely that if they got aggressive, it would have been very difficult for you and your colleagues in the position in which you were, and you agreed with that, so I won't repeat that. But flowing from that, I noticed something in your statement, the first page of your statement, quadruple A to 36, which has a bearing on this. You describe what happened on the 10th, and you say, during the interaction between the mediator and the RDO representatives, I realized that there were individuals in the crowd who seemed to be taking the lead regarding the way the crowd behaved. And these individuals, brackets leaders, close brackets, were all wearing striped shirts. Now, that's what you said in your statement, and you've already confirmed that to be correct.
That's correct.
Would it be correct to say that therefore anyone who wanted to speak to the leaders, to identify the leaders and actually speak to them, shouldn't have had any difficulty in seeing who they were?
That might be the case, Mr. Chairman.
If the management, for example, who were in the building, had been minded to speak to the leaders of the group, they wouldn't have had any problem in seeing who they were and calling them in and speaking to them.
Mr. Chairman, if I can maybe give my opinion, I think in a matter of reference with regards to any organigram or formal structure within any group. I think you have your manager type, your leader type, and then you have the guys that's more the executioners with regards to the work that need to be done. I would mostly describe the guys in the striped shirts, which I've described as the guys not as leaders as such, but taking the lead with regards to the actions of the crowd. Because when there was, at the one stage, there was a few members that came out from within the crowd that spoke to Mr. Graham Sinclair, and none of those members which had the striped shirts on were part of that group, but they still controlled the crowd as to keeping quiet and stuff like that.
So, if the management people in the LPD had wanted to speak to the leaders of the group, then they could have spoken to the people who had spoken to Mr. Sinclair.
I think they would have spoken to the guys that came out from within the group, sir, because that is the group that was identified, or that was the leader group or the representative group.
Those were the ones who spoke to Mr. Sinclair.
That's correct, sir.
So, it can't be said that the management people would have had any problem if they wanted to speak to the leaders in identifying the people to whom they should have been speaking.
Only from my opinion, I wouldn't say that there would be difficulty in identifying individuals to speak to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jefferson. All right, let's move on to something else. Thank you. Yeah, so you agree with that paragraph from Mr. Foster. The next issue that I want to talk to you about is and I'm sorry to take you back to this, the events that happened on what you've described as the early hours of the 11th. Remember, we spoke about that. And you didn't know about the quantum, but you knew about the events and so on.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
And you and I agreed that those people were armed with dangerous weapons. Now, in your statement, you say that yes, I think it's 836, yes. And 11th of August.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
We saw a group of people armed with knobkerries and pangas escorting employees from the hostel towards the rolling shaft. Then you say, upon questioning my night shift colleagues, we were told that this group of NUM members, acting like security officers, or I suppose were acting like security officers, escorting people to work. Now, I'm just interested in that comment. Does it suggest that someone was complaining that these people were almost taking over the job of security officers?
No, not at all, Mr. Chair.
In what context was it said that they were acting like security officers? That's a strange, or at least unusual way to describe.
No, I don't think it's that strange or unusual. I think what is meant by that is they were basically acting as a type or a form of security for the personnel or the people that want to go to work.
I see. So it was said approvingly, not in a form of complaining?
No, definitely not, sir.
What you said in the rest of the sentence was they were acting like security officers, escorting people to work. So the form of security work, if one can call it that in quotation marks, would have been escorting people to work.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Well, okay, well, I don't know about that. But be that as it may, so if you're saying it was said approvingly, are you saying that you as an institution, you approved of panga-wielding people, taking people to work? Is that the kind of behavior that carrying dangerous weapons, which is unlawful?
No, we do not approve of that, Mr. Chairman.
But you're saying this was said with approval, that these people were
No, it's not said with approval. What I'm saying is it's not being said in a negative light. We do not improve or approve of anyone taking matters into their own hands. And as Lonman has their in-house security members, we also do not approve of members walking around with dangerous weapons or intimidating other people. What I was trying to say is that this was part of their own group of people, and at that stage, I think we more or less just monitored onto what's going on, because there wasn't any incidents reported, and we didn't want to unnecessarily provoke these members into taking action or causing some harm to other members out of their own will. So
Yes.
I think that's the reason why we only monitor them.
No,
But
fair enough. I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter, or it didn't. I'm not saying that it carries our approval, no, sir.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that in relation to the chairperson seemed to emphasize the word escorting people to work as if they were doing a good thing by wielding those pangas around. So that's why I had to ask you that question in fairness. Okay, but you would agree that well, in your experience, it's something unusual at the very least. If I can just I have two or three questions, Chairperson.
I'll allow you 3 questions, as in 1 + 1 + 1.
Yeah. You'd agree that it's something unusual, or at least something that you probably haven't seen before. In my estimation, it was last seen during the apartheid era, where the white unions would assist the police against NUM strikers. Would you agree that it's unusual for a union to be carrying pangas and escorting people to work when there's a strike in which some of their members are participating?
I cannot comment on that, Mr. Chairman.
In your experience,
do not.
Is it something you've ever experienced?
No, I haven't experienced that at all.
Okay. And then the final 2 questions I'm going to ask you is the events, particularly the events of the 12th, must have shaken you up, and you must have been scared. Everyone, I would have been scared. Did you undergo any therapy as a result of that, or counseling?
Yes, I was referred to Lonman Careways, and we went through some sessions, I think 8 if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Okay. I'm asking that question very carefully because I don't want you to accuse me of insulting you. Okay. And then, but also it must have also made you angry, correct? The whole episode.
No, I won't agree with that, sir.
You were not angry that you almost died, cheaply, if I may put it that way.
Not at all, sir. Might sound difficult, but up until now, I just truly believe, and I mean, this might be quite personal, but I truly believe that it was the hand of God that protected us, and I was merely thankful. And up until now, even with the help that we assisted on the 16th, and even with the help on the Saturday morning with the injured guy, our aim always is to help other individuals and other members. I don't care which union you are, what color your skin is. Like I said, up until now I was never angry. Just grateful for the fact that I'm still here to look after my child.
Yes. And were you aware at the time, given that the only installation in your evidence that was under any threat was the NUM offices, were you aware that at that stage the NUM offices had been abandoned?
No, I wasn't aware of that, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Mpofu. Mr. Semenya, I think you're next. How long has Mr. Semenya got, Mr.
Chair, Mr. Semenya requested 90 minutes, but I understand he's not going to be that long at all.
Well, he's got his 90 minutes, and if he chooses to donate us some time at the end of his cross-examination, we will gratefully accept the donation. Mr. Semenya?
Happy to announce we have no questions for the witness.
It is a substantial donation. Thank
I
you
can
very
take
much.
that donation and that other donation, Chairperson.
Ms. Hemraj wants to ask a question.
Mr. Lowe, in one of the police dockets, CAS 69 of 8 of 2012, there are two incidents mentioned on the 10th of August. One in 1940, where a complainant says that 5 shots were fired from a crowd of people or security, and he was shot in his head. And a second incident, still on the 10th at 1815, where 2 people were shot, allegedly from people shooting from a Lonman security vehicle. Do you have any knowledge of these incidents? Have you heard anything about them?
Mr. Commissioner, I definitely do not have any knowledge. I heard of the incidents, and to be quite honest, that wasn't even discussed with me. I heard of that when we started preparing for the Farlam Commission, and someone raised the issue. But no, I wasn't aware of that, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Who would decide if Protea Coin Security were to come and bolster up the security as you were for any particular incident? On whose shoulders would that responsibility
That would
fall?
only be on Mr. Graham Sinclair, ma'am.
And when was the first involvement of Protea Coin Security from the 9th onwards?
Ma'am, if I remember correctly, there was Protea guards present on the 10th, if I'm not mistaken. Although I think they were just posted on the outskirts of some of the mining areas. I can't remember seeing them during the march from Wonderkop to the LPD offices, and at the time where we were standing between the striking mining workers and the mine officers. I do not recall, because I was more focused on what was happening inside the crowd, so I can really not recall and give you a straight answer, ma'am.
In the incident that you were involved with, there was no Protea Coin armoured vehicle close by?
Not while the attack commenced, but after the attack, there was a armoured vehicle which was entered by Martin Foster, which he was accompanied by Protea Coin members to try and go into the area where Mr. Mabulani and Mr. Fundi were attacked.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
To the Lonman Occurrence book. I don't know if you have a copy, but I'll read you the relevant section. It's page 220 of the Lonman Occurrence book, which is an exhibit before us. And there's an entry there on the 12th of August 2012, that's to say the Sunday, at 11:20. Midbank Blue driver Shabangu of Midbank reported to Mr. Nokathru, Supervisor Lepoto, that he saw a dead body at Marikana. The person was allegedly killed while reporting from duty around 1700. They reported the body was recovered by SABC. And then in the far right-hand column, it says follow up and get details of deceased. Now, as far as I can recall, we've never ever heard any evidence relating to that dead body that Midbank driver Shabangu saw, and a person who was allegedly killed while reporting from duty around 1700. Body was covered by the SAPS. Do you know anything about that?
No, Mr. Chair, I've got no knowledge with regards to that.
Right, thank you. Mr. van As, re-examiner.
One question. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Mr. Lowe, on the 16th of August, when you were at the copy, what ammunition did you have in your shotgun?
At that stage, I only had rubber rounds, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You'll be excused, Mr. Lowe, on the usual basis that if it's necessary for you to come back, I'm not sure that it will be, but it probably won't be, but if it is necessary for you to come back, that you'll be prepared to come back without our having to subpoena you again. If you're prepared to accept that condition, you may be
Yes, definitely, Mr. Chairman.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Lowe.
Thank you for your time, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
am I correct in thinking your next witness is going to be Mr. Joseph Musibi?
Mr. Masibi, Mr. Chairman, may I ask for a 10-minute adjournment? We didn't realise that Mr. Semenya wasn't going to ask any questions at all, and if I could just go and see Mr. Masibi and get him ready, if we could have a
All right, well, I
10-minute
suppose if
adjournment,
we
please.
take the tea adjournment now, we won't have to take another adjournment before 4 o'clock. So it's a bit early for the tea adjournment, but some people would say it's never too early for a tea adjournment. So let's take the tea adjournment now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ha o bua, ha o bua. Ha o fetsa. You do this. Sometimes we're over tired. The commission resumes. Fine, we'll send you.
Commission resumes. I believe your next witness is Mr. Masibi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
His statement's already been marked quadruple 837. Are there any other exhibits you want to refer to?
There are 3 other exhibits that if we could please refer to them. I've again handed up a small bundle of documents, Mr. Chairperson. There's an ICAM statement that Mr. Masibi deposed to. I think quadruple D6 is the next number, if I'm not... 7.
Well, are we staying with D? It's linked
They're
to...
all security, perhaps we
All
should
right,
just
yeah,
stay
okay,
with-
let's keep quadruple D for the security people. So quadruple D7 is an ICAM statement of the witness.
Correct, Mr. Chairperson.
Okay, and next?
Quadruple D8 is an incident shooting report.
Yes, relating to what date?
Relating to shotgun ammunition discharged by the witness on the 12th of August 2012.
Yes.
And you'll be glad to know, Mr. Chairperson, the next annexure, quadruple D9, is the first of the registers that we've
It's come already.
I was able to get this one. This is just an extract
Okay, register what?
of ammunition discharged.
Ammunition register of ammunition discharged.
Ammunition discharged on that specific day.
What day?
On the 12th of August, Mr. Chairperson.
All right. There are more registers on the way, particularly relating to all ammunition discharged from the safe from the 9th onwards to the 16th.
Correct, Mr. Chairperson.
Right, that will come. That's something we'll get in due course.
We'll try and get to you shortly.
Mr. Masibi, would you please stand? Are you prepared to give evidence under oath, or do you wish to make an affirmation?
Ho tswa o ikemiseditse ho ikana ho bua nnete kapa o batla ho bua nnete?
Ke ikemiseditse ho bua nnete.
Ho ikana.
Ho ikana ho bua nnete.
Okay, I am going to take an oath.
Will you swear the evidence you'll give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please raise your right hand and say, I swear so help me God.
Ho tswa ha ile hore se o tlo sepakang e tla ba nnete nnete fela phamisa letsogo la ho la ho ja o re modimo nthuse ke bue nnete.
What are your full names?
Pele ha seo mabitso a felletseng ke wena ma
Mogomotsi,
Mogomotsi MOGOMOTSI Mogomotsi. Joseph
Masibi.
Masibi MASIBI.
Thank you. Madam Interpreter, do we have your name on record? I don't think we have.
It is R.A. Moshwane.
Thank you. And you are I'm sure
R.A. Moshwane.
you're a duly sworn interpreter.
I am a sworn interpreter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have I sworn you in for the purpose of this commission?
Yes.
I did. Long time ago.
At the airport and at
Rustenburg, I see.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
Thank you.
Right, you may sit down, Mr. Masibi.
Okadula Ntate Masibi.
Mr. Funas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Mr. Masibi, where are you employed?
Ntate Masibi, ho thwa o sebetsa kae?
Ke sebetsa ko moepong wa Lonmin right now.
I work at the Lonmin mine.
And what job do you do there?
Ho thwa o etsa mosebetsi o jang?
Ke security officer.
I am a security officer.
And how long have you been employed at Lonmin as a security officer?
O na le nako e kakang o sebetsa ya ka security ko Lonmin?
Ke na le ngwaga tse 3.
3 years.
I want to take you to the 12th of August 2012. It was a Sunday.
Ho thwa he re ho nka re isa ho di 12 sa August 2012 ine e le Sondag.
Did you sign a witness statement, a police witness statement in relation to your involvement in an incident on that day?
Ho thwa ekabe o ile wa signa statement se ne o fana ka sona maponeseng e le gore ge o bua ka se etsagetseng ka di 12 sa August 2012.
Ya ke ile ka se sign mama se tswa ke mapodisa.
Yes, I did make a sworn statement at the police station.
There's a bundle of documents in front of you. I'd like you to turn to the first 2 pages of that bundle of documents.
Ho thwa he ho na le tokomane e mo pele ga gago rra ga thege phetla o ye ko page 2.
Is this that statement?
Go thatu ke sona statement sa gago se o se dirileng ko maphodiseng?
Ya ke sone mama.
It is the statement.
Now, if we go to page 2, it appears as if at some stage it says the statement was signed on the 8th of August 2012 at 11 o'clock at the bottom of page 2, Mr. Chairperson.
Are he mane tlase teng mo ho kwetse gore ge statement se saenilwe ka di 8 tsa August 2012 ka 11. Go yalo?
And if you go slightly higher up, it's actually got the 12th of August 2012. But can you confirm that you signed the statement on the 12th of August 2012?
Are me ge ha o sheba go godimo mo statementing go bonala go na le date ya di 12 tsa August 2012. Potso ke gore e ka be o se signile ka di 12 tsa August 2012.
Ke se signile ka di 12 tsa kgwedi ya bo 8 2012.
It was signed on the 12th of August 2012.
If we look at the bottom of the page, it appears to be that the statement was sounded about 11 o'clock that morning.
Ra o tla bona ge gore o se signile ka 11 hoseng.
Can you confirm that?
Go yalo?
Go ntse yalo mama.
Confirmed.
Do you stand by the statement?
Are he o yema le gore ke sona statement sa gago se?
Ya ke sona statement sa ka.
I confirm it is my statement.
Is there anything you wish to add or explain in the statement?
Ra gati e ka be go na le so batlang go se tlatsa se leng gore ge ha wa se a sa kwadiwa mo statementing go tsa go na le se o batlang go se bua.
Go na le se ke batlang go se tlatsa mama.
I would like to add something.
Yes.
Tswela pele. Rema Sibi, tswela pele.
Mo page 1 ya statement.
On page 1 of the statement,
Mo paragraphing ya bofelo.
the last paragraph,
Ge nne ke re ke ne ke sa bone key ya koloi.
when I said I could not find the car key,
Ga ke a kgona go fitlhella le mo koloing ka tsatsi leo.
I meant that I could not even reach the car on that day.
Ke fitlheletse koloi but ga ke a kgona go tsena go gare gore ke kgone go kry-a key.
I did arrive at the car, but I could not enter the car to retrieve the key.
Ya ke yone fela e ke batlang go e ne ke kopa go e change mama.
That is all I wanted to add or to clarify.
That's essentially the point that you make in the last paragraph at the foot of your other statement, the typed statement, which is Exhibit Quadruple A37, which is the next statement in the bundle.
Se latelang se o se typileng go tswa ko tlase kwa mo se felang teng ke se o se tlhalosang.
You say, I ran to my vehicle, the Volkswagen Polo.
Re
When I
o
reached
ile wa-
the vehicle, I realized I would not have enough time to get in the vehicle and retreat along with it. I left it there and retreated on foot.
Wena o re he o ile wa matha wa ya ko koloing ya gago ke Volkswagen Polo mme ha o fitlha ko koloing o ile wa elellwa gore ga ona nako e tletseng gore ke ne ka mo gare ga koloi gore o thole di key. Go yana?
Go ntse yalo
It is so, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. And then, Mr. Masibi, if you look at pages 3 to 5, that's Exhibit Quadruple D7.
Ga te ge sheba page 3 to 5 ke quadruple D7 bo di ba bararo
Well,
di 7.
that's the statement that purports to have been made on the 1st of October, but was
Had-
clearly made on the 12th, well, either made on the 12th or after the 12th.
Mr. Chairperson, if you look at page 5,
Ga tsa re sheba mo page 5.
Oh, yes, I beg your pardon, you're correct. It was made on the 1st of October, 1/10/12.
Correct, Mr. Chair.
se entswe ka di 1 tsa October. Go yalo?
Go ntse yalo, ke se-
It is so.
Is that your signature that appears on page 5?
Gate ge ke signature ya gago e mo page 5.
ke yone.
It is.
And did you write 1 October 2012 there?
E ka be ke wena ya kwetseng ka letsogo la gago 1/10/12.
Ke nna ke kwetseng ka letsogo la ka.
I did with my own hand.
Now, in this statement, if we go back to page 3,
Gate mo statementeng seo boela ko page 3.
if we go to the second last paragraph,
Gate o ye ko paragraph ya bobedi ya bofelo, second last.
I beg your pardon, in other words, the first page of the statement, paginated page 3.
Gate ge leqephe la pele ne page ya pele ya page 3. Page 3.
You say in your statement that you discharged 7 rounds, 7 rubber bullets during that incident.
Wena o re ge o ile wa thunya makgetlo a supa o berekisa rubber bullets. Go yalo?
Ke nnete, go ntse yalo.
It is true.
And if I take you to the next document, which is the shooting report,
Gate ge re tla ya ko tokomane e latelang, gate ke ya shooting report. Report ya thungo.
which is exhibit quadruple D8,
Go thwa ge ke bodiba bane 8, quadruple D8.
and if we look at the second page of that report,
Gate ge sheba page e latelang ya report eo. We thought
it records there that you discharged 14 bullets, 14 rubber rounds on that day.
mo go kwetse gore ge o thuntse di rubber bullets tse 14 tsatsi leo. Go yalo?
Go ntse yalo.
It is so.
And then just finally, for clarity, if we then go to page 11 of the bundle, which is the shooting register,
A re ge gore re kgonege gore re hlakise se itseng re ya ko page 11.
Mr.
Yeah,
Chairperson,
Tokomane.
Mr. Masibi's name
Ke
is the third
register.
name from the bottom.
Gate ge leina la gago ke la boraro go tloga ko tlase Masibi. O itshwere?
That also records that you discharged 14 rubber bullets. Do you see that?
Gate le mo ge go kwetse gore ge o thuntse makgetlo a 14 ka rubber bullets.
Ke nnete.
It is so.
Now, will you please explain to the Commission, firstly, how many rubber bullets you discharged on that date and when you discharged those bullets?
Gate ge tlhalosetsa commission gore ge o thuntse makgetlo a kae ka lona tsatsi leo.
Ge ne re simolola go tsama go re simolola go batla go dispersa ba diri ba ne ba strikeile.
When we started to try and disperse the strikers,
Ke shootile di rubber bullet tse 7.
I shot 7 rubber bullets.
And then ge ke sena ke khona go tshaba, ke tshaba le koloi.
After I managed to run with the car,
No. Ha ke
o tshaba le koloi.
sena go tshaba, ke feta le koloi.
We
e ne
feta,
ke
okay.
dirisa.
Correction. After I managed to run past my car,
Ke sena go jumpela mo koloi e nngwe ya security ya baki, open baki.
after I had managed to jump into another security vehicle, a buggy,
Ka khona go reloada di rubber bullet tse 7
I managed to reload 7 rubber bullets,
tse ne di le mo lethekeng.
which were on my waist.
Ka shoota tse 7
I then shot 7 rounds
ko directioneng ya dikoloi ko ne di setse teng.
in the direction where the cars were left.
Why did you discharge those additional 7 rounds?
Gate goreng o ile wa thunya gape tse 7?
Badiri ka nna ba ne ba setse ko dikoloing tsewa.
My colleagues were left at where those cars were.
So ke re ke etsa gore ka gongwe badiri ba ka tshaba for dikoloing.
I was trying to give them a chance by shooting for them to run away from the cars.
Let's get on to the actual incident. You were on duty on the 12th August 2012. Is that correct?
Gati uno u bereka ka di 12 tsa August 2012.
Ke nnete.
It is true.
I want you to please tell the Commission in your own words what happened that morning.
Gati reka molomo wa gago a ke be wena o tla tlhalosetsang commission se diragetseng go seng go.
Ka tsatsi leo ge ntse ke theogetse
On that day, whilst I was still on duty,
ke kry-ile call ka two-way radio
I received a two-way radio call
go tswa ko go modiri ka nna David Law.
It was from my colleague,
David Law.
Devalt Low.
Gore o kopa backup o tlhasetswe.
He was asking for backup as he was being attacked.
Ka nako eo nna le modiri ka nna o ne ke na le ene.
At that time, I was with my other colleague.
Ra drive go tloga ko Eastern re ya ko Western ko modiri ka rona o na kopa backup teng.
We drove from Eastern to Western. That is where the request from my colleague came from.
Mr. Chairperson, I don't want to go through the whole map business again, but can you just explain to us, Mr. Masibi, did you drive, when you say from east to west, did you drive past the Andrew Safi Hospital on that road?
Gati ore o khanne east uya west u hitile Andrew Safi sepetlele.
Ke fitile mo Andrew Safi.
Yes, we drove past Andrew Safi Hospital.
And then did you turn left into the Vonderkop Hostel area?
Lile la se litena left elikena ko Vonderkop Hostel.
Ya re tenne left re tsena ko Vonderkop.
Yes, we turned left into Vonderkop Stadium.
And what did you see when you arrived there?
Uboning how Hitler go.
Ke kopane le o ne le modiri ka nna ntate Mabelane le ntate Fundi.
I then met my ex-colleague, the late Mr. Mabelane and Mr. Fundi.
Le badiri ba ne ba le group ba ne ba le strikeile.
And a group of strikers.
Ba le distance ko mo ba ntate Mabelane le ntate Fundi ba ne ba le teng.
The strikers were a distance away from where Mr. Mabelane and Mr. Fundi were.
That were Mr. Mabelani and Mr. Fundi the first security officers to arrive on the scene.
Gati re Mabelane le re Fundi ke bona di security tsa pele tse leng tsa Hitler mo tulong ya tiragalo.
Or were there other vehicles there already?
Go tsa go ne go na le dikoloi tse ding teng mo.
Ya go re gona le tse dingwe ge ke fitla no gona le ya ga no gona le tse dingwe ga ke fitla fo.
There were other cars on my arrival.
And how many security vehicles were present there, and how many security officers were present there?
Ba batla go itse ge gore ke dikoloi tse kae tsa di security tse ne di le mo le gore ge di security sebele tse ne di le mo ke ba kae ne le ba kae.
Dikoloi e ne di le 6
vehicles, security vehicles. My apologies, 6 security vehicles.
By my security relay 12.
And 12 security officers.
So there are 2 security officers in each vehicle. There are 2 security officers in each of the vehicles normally.
Seo se ra gore ge ya ka ile dikoloi tse 6. Which were kama dikoloi tse. You say there were 2
there normally security officers in each of the security
because
vehicles.
There were 6, okay. A ka re dikoloi ne di le 6. Which were dikoloi engwe le engwe ine ipalamisitse di security tse pedi.
Ke nnete ma.
It is true.
What did you do? Were you driving your vehicle or was someone else driving your vehicle?
O ne ile wena o khannang koloi ya gago kgotsa o na gona le motho na go khannela yona?
E ne khanelwa ke nna.
I was driving.
And who was the security officer in the vehicle with you?
Ke mang mosebetsi mmogo security o ne ana le wena mo koloi?
Marcus Manamela.
Mr. Marcus Manamela. M-A-N-A-M-E-L-A. Manamela.
And what did you and Mr. Manamela do when you arrived there with the other security officers had already parked their vehicle?
Re he wena le re Manamela le hitlile la dira eng ha le hitlela di security tse ding di pakile teng ko?
Re biditswe ke o ne le modiri ka rona ntate Mabelane.
Mr. Mabelane called us, our colleague.
Was he the senior security officer present there?
Go thwa ge re Mabelane e ne le yena security o mogolo mo o na le teng mo senior.
Ya keno o ne le o mogolo bone le ntate Fundi.
Yes, both Mr. Mabelane and Mr. Fundi were senior security officers.
So Mr. Mabelane called you together, and then what happened?
Re Mabelane wa go bitsa bo go direga.
A re kopa gore badiri information e ke gore badiri ba tlhagang ba ya go ba tlhagang bale information e ke gore ba ya go fisa di office tse di occupied ke namo.
He told us that that group which was approaching, their mission or intention was to go and burn NUM offices.
And what did he want you to do?
Ona batla gore le dire eng?
A re kopa gore re form a line.
He asked us to form a line.
Re disperse badiri baowa
and disperse those strikers
ka di rubber bullet.
With rubber bullets.
How did you feel about this instruction?
Wena ha ntsha taelo e yalo o ile ikutlwa yang?
Ke ile ka ganana le ene.
I disagreed with him.
Why?
Gore
ke ile ka ganana le ene ka mabaka gore ke mo tlhaloseditse gore ga re tshwara di equipment tsa gore re ka disperse badiri.
I disagreed and told him that we do not have enough equipment to disperse those strikers.
Lebaka le lengwe le ke faneng ka lone ke gore ga rena dikoloi tse re di bitsang di hard skin vehicles.
Again, I said we did not have hard skill armored vehicles.
Ene le bontsi ba badiri ka mokgwa ba neng ba le ka teng re bona gore re ka se kgone go ba disperse ka di rubber bullet.
And I further told him that we could not disperse such a big group of strikers with rubber bullets.
Sorry, carry on.
Okay. Badiri ka nna ba bangwe le bone ba ne ba sa dumalane.
My other colleagues also concurred with me.
Ka gore ntate our late Mr. Mabelane ene le senior ya rona.
As the late Mr. Mabelane was our senior,
fana ka instruction ya gore ke kopa gore ha ke le botse ke a le instructor gore batho ba le ntsheng le tshwareng di shotgun le ba dispetseng ba ska ba go damage di property tsa company.
Mr. Mabelane then instructed us to use our shotguns to disperse the crowd with rubber bullets to prevent them to damage Lonmin properties.
Now, could you see the strikers at this point? How close were they away from where you'd formed the line?
Gati ge o di bone di striker ka yona nako eo ne ba le bokgakala bo bokae le wena ha o ba bona?
Ne le distance ya go tswa fa go fitlha mo parking mo re tswang teng.
It was a distance from the auditorium to the parking outside.
Mr. Chairperson, 50, 60 meters, would that be a fair estimate? From here to the parking area?
About 50 over.
Gati e ka ba 50 ya di metara.
But ba ele batho ba batlang ba move go tla ko re leng teng ko re emeng teng.
At that time, they were moving towards where we were standing.
And how were they moving, Mr. Masibi? Could you please explain to the Commission?
How re ge ne ba tsamaya motsamayo wa bona o ne o le yang ne ba tsamaya?
Ba ne ba le close ba tla ba nna mo fatshe ka re ba dula mo fatshe.
Okay. They were walking closely they then act and crouched as though they are sitting down.
ba tle ba betsa le di betsa tse nna ba di tshwere ba di-
And
ba
then
di
they
betsa.
started clashing the weapons they had in their possession.
And what weapons did they have in their possession?
Di bitsa tse o buang ka tsona tse ne ba di tshwere ke eng?
Ke kgonne go bona melamu like konokere
I managed to see nopkiris,
thanga
pangas,
le tse dingwe ne ba di close
and other weapons as they were very close to each other.
Did any of the Lonman security officers try to speak to them?
Ikabe o tengi wa lona di security tsa Lonmin o ileng a leka go buisana le bona.
ga re fetsa go bua le Ntate Mabelane
After we spoke to Mr. Mabelane,
re tshwara di shotgun tsa rona
we then held our shotguns.
To point them at the strikers.
Le di tshwara le di supa ko di strikereng. Le ba supa ka tsona.
ga ra ba supa re di tshwere re di supile mo fatshe
No, they were pointed down, not at the strikers.
modiri ka nna Julius Motlogelwa
My colleague, Julius Motlogelwa, M-O-T-L-O-G-E-L-O-A, Motlogelwa,
a feta mo nereme teng a ya ko badiri
walked past where we were standing and approached the strikers.
Was he armed? Was he armed?
Gati nako a dira seo a ya ko go badiri, o na a tshwere sebetsa.
o ne a sa tshwara sebetsa
No, he was unarmed.
And what did he do?
O dirile.
a tsholetsa letsogo a le distance le badiri
He lifted his hand up whilst he was far from the strikers.
a ba saenela gore o kopa go botsa gore bothata e ka nna eng
He did that as a sign gesture, intending to ask them what the problem was.
badiri ga ba ka ba mo reetsa ya ka ga ba tla ba reetse go le gale ge re bua le bone
The strikers did not listen to us as they did before.
And what did they do?
Badirile.
batho simolola gone go betsa di weapon tseo ba tla ko re leng teng
They started clashing the weapons and approached us where we were.
ba saena le gore ga ba mo utlwelele ba saena le ka letsogo gore re shift mo tseleng
They used a hand gesture to say shift away from the road or shift out of the way. My apology.
And what happened then?
Tate Julius Motlogelo a boela ko morago a ya ko koloing ya gagwe
How do I know?
o ne a ya ko go bone
Okay, a boela
itse ga ba sa moke a boela ko morago
Mr. Julius Motlogelwa then turned and went back to the car as they were not listening to him.
ka simolola go utlwa shoto e lela towards the striking workers
I then heard a gunshot which was shot towards the strikers.
from the firing line mo nereme teng
The shot came from the firing line where we were standing.
And what ammunition was shot?
Gati ba ne ba thuntsa ka eng? Ammunition,
ka di rubber bullet
rubber bullets.
le nna ka tswelela ka joina team ewa go shoota di rubber tseo tse 7
I then joined that team which was busy shooting and I shot 7 rubber bullets.
badiri ka nako e re ba shootang ga ba boela le ko morago
As we were shooting at them, they did not retreat back.
ba tswelela ka go ya ko tlase ba ya slow ko re leng teng
They started encroaching and then came slowly towards us.
Did the rubber bullets have no effect on them?
Ho tjho hore ka mantswe a mang dirapa tsene le dithunyane di sa ba dire sepe.
ya di sa ba dirise because ba bangwe ne ba apere le dikobo
Yes, it had no effect as others were wearing blankets.
And what happened then?
Go go diregang?
itse ge diraba tsa ka tse 7 di fela
After I had shot all the 7 rubber bullets,
ka
and
kry
they were finished,
ka fitlhela e le gore mo ne re eme teng badiri ka nna ba setse ba boela morago le tsa bone di fedile
I then saw my colleagues also retreating back as they had also finished their rounds.
le nna ka thena ka ya ko directioneng ya koloi mo ne ke e tlogetse teng
I then turned and went to the direction where I had left my vehicle.
itse ga ke thena badiri ba simolola go oketsa lebelo la go tabogela ko re leng teng
As I turned, the strikers then proceeded fast towards us.
and ga ke tla ke lebile koloi ke ga gona le tse ba di latlhelang ke sa itse gore ne le matlapa kgose ne ke sia ke ya kwa
As I approached the car, I could feel that there were things that they were throwing at us. I did not see what it was as I was running to the car.
ga ke fitlha fo koloing ka tshwara handle
On arrival at the car, I held the handle,
ka lebelela ko morago ka kry-a ba le gaufi
looked back, and saw that they were now near.
ka nne le nna wa bofelo ka tshabo ka tlogela koloi ka tshaba
As I was the last, I then left let go of the handle and ran away.
ko ne ke tabogela teng go eme koloi e ne gona le o ne le modiri ka rona ntate Mabelane le Mr. Fundi mogare
The car in which direction I ran to was the car which Mr. Mabelani and Mr. Fundi were in.
a ke fitlha ko go yone mo pele mo le gona le koloi van e open e le mo pele e setse e le mobile e tswa
On arrival, there was also another van in front which was already in motion.
ka feta koloi ya bo ntate Mabelane ka jumpela mo vaneng e ne le mo pele ke tshaba ya
I then ran past Mr. Mabelane and Fundi's vehicle.
ka jumpela mo vaneng e ne ya security le one e ne e tswa
I then jumped into that security van which was moving.
And is that when you reloaded the shotgun and fired the further 7 rounds?
A re ke mo ge o ila gona ge gore o reload shotgun ya gago wa tsenya di-rubber bolster 7 e be le gore wa thunya ka tsona.
ya ke ka yone nako eo
Yes, that is the time.
And what happened after that?
Go diregileng ka morago ga moo?
ka
Well,
nako
just before that, when you were shooting from the back of the vehicle, what was happening in the area that you were shooting at?
Ra gate ge e pele gore re pele a kere o kgonne go tlola o tsena ka mo morago ga vena kere ra o batla go itse ge gore mo ne le thunya teng le go diregang wena ha o tloela ka mo veneng le go diregang
ka nako eo badiri ba ne ba setse ba tsamaya fo pholong e ne ke e tlogela
At that time, the strikers were now surrounding, or they were now walking next to the polo which I had parked.
ba bangwe ba fetela site ya ko koloi ya bontate Mabelane ne e phakile teng
Some were proceeding to the side where Mr. Mabelane's car was parked.
ga ke simolola go shoota diraba tse 7
When I started shooting the 7 rubber bullets,
dikoloi tse tsotlhe ne setse di le covered ka gore e ne ba le ba bantsi ke sa bone gore go etsagalang mo gare
all the vehicles were now surrounded by the strikers. I could not see what was happening in that area.
ka shoota diraba tseo ba se phatlalale but koloi eo e ne ntse e tsamaya he ke shoota from the distance
I then started shooting the 7 rubber bullets towards them, but they did not retreat. The car at the time, the van was now moving away.
ya feta ya ema mo next to the hospital
It drove until it stopped next to the hospital.
Did the strikers continue following the bakkie in which you were being transported?
Ikabe di strikers di le tsa latela vene eo ya gago e ne le tsamaya ka yone.
bontsi ba bone ba setse fo dikoloing ga nna le ba ba leng mo pele batho bana ba sa latele vene e ne re tsamaya ka yone.
The majority of them were next to the car which was parked there, and some
ba bangwe ba le mo pele batho ba
Some
sa
were-
re latelele ko re yang
some
teng.
were in front, but they did not follow us.
And where did you travel to then? Where did you go to? Where did the bakkie go to? Where did the vehicle that you were traveling, where did you go? Did you go out of the area?
Gate ge vene ene le tsamaya ka yona e heletse kae le la tswa tulong eo na le le kae ka vene.
e sale ya go ema go bapa le mo hospital mo tse dingwe le tsone di ne di eme teng tse ne di tswa go seneng.
The van stopped at the hospital, and the other cars which were at the scene then also came and stopped at the hospital.
Now, Mr. Masibi, could you see any smoke at that stage? Anything burning?
Gate ka nako eo ile a bona mosina kgotsa o bone selo se tjha.
Gare immediately ga re fitlha mowa ke ga ke tla kopana le Davalt lo ana le Martin Foster.
Immediately on arrival,
Next to the hospital.
next to the hospital, that is where I met Mr. Devalt Low and Mr. Foster.
Ra tlhalosa gore bo ntate Mabelane le ntate Fundi ba mo gare ga crowd e le ga re itse gore go etsagalang.
We then gave them a report that Mr. Mabelani and Mr. Fundi are with that crowd, and we do not know what is happening.
Ra tsena mo moraga baki e nngwe ya reversa to the direction ya crowd. Re ra go bona gore go etsagala re ka se ka bone.
We then climbed into another bakkie which reversed in the direction of where the crowd was.
Yeah.
As we wanted to see what was happening.
Was Mr. Lowe driving that bakkie?
Ne sa drive you.
No, he was not the driver.
Gare re simola re ra reverse koloi reverse cause rona ne re le ka mo morago.
As the car was reversing, whilst we were at the back of the bakkie,
Ra simolla go bona smoke se tswa mo koloing mo pholo.
we then saw smoke coming from the polo.
And then after gantse re reporta ga tlhaga se sengwe mo lavile mo koloing e ne le bo ntate Fundi le ntate Mabelane mo go yona.
As we were reporting, we then saw smoke from the car in which Mr. Mabelani and Mr. Fundi were in.
Ka nako eo badiri ba tswa ba ya direction ya ko renkeng towards the offices tse ne di occupyile ke nna.
At that time, the strikers were now proceeding towards the taxi rank that is next to NUM offices. The offices are NUM tse?
Tse ne ba ne di ka nako eo ne le di offices tsa nna.
Okay. The strikers moved in the direction of the taxi rank, which was next to a building which was NUM offices then.
Bontsi bo santse bo surroundile dikoloi tse pedi tse. Re bona fela musi re sa kgone go bona gore go etsagala.
The majority of the strikers were still surrounding the burning vehicles. We could not see what was happening.
Morago ra bona gore go kotsi gore re ka ya mole.
We saw that it was not safe. It was dangerous for us to go there.
Morago ga nako batso ba botlhe ba ya ba dula mo fatshe go tloga go renkeng go fitla mo saiteng la di office tsa nao.
After some time, they all went to the next to the rank where they sat down next to the NUM offices.
Ga ra kry instruction go tswa go Davalt a ro receivile call.
We then received an instruction from Devalt saying he received a call.
gore go se ka ga nna le ope wa rona o yang ko scening ewa re go kopanela ko crossing ya Roland Shaft.
The instruction was no one must go to the scene. We should rather meet at Roland Shaft.
Did you then go to the Roland Shaft? Is that the Roland Shaft crossing? Is that where you were told to meet?
Re ge Roland Shaft o buang ka yona o bua crossing mo go kopanang teng ditsela tsa Roland Shaft.
Yeah, the Roland Shaft.
Yes, to Roland Shaft.
And did you go there?
Ke ile ko.
Ra ya ko wa ga re fitla ke gone ge ba tla re bolella gore gona le ba ba approachitseng scene sighting ya stadium.
When on arrival there, we were then told that some had approached the scene from the side of the stadium.
Ba re bolelela gore ga nna ba fana ka instruction ya gore go se ka ga nna le ope o ya mfale.
They then told us that when the instruction was given that no one must go to the scene,
E ne ile ka lebaka la gore ha ne ba fitla mo sceneng ele ba kreile o ne le modiri ka rona ntate Mabelane le ntate Fundi ba setse ba bolailwe.
the reason was that when they arrived at the scene, they then find out that Mr. Mabelane and Mr. Fundi were killed.
So you weren't part of the Lonman security that went back to try and rescue Mr. Fundi and Mr. Mabelani. Help me with my direction from the west side.
Gati ge wena ha o e mongwe ya di-security tse ileng tsaya kulo go leka go thusa re Mabelane le re Fundi le tswa ka mo direction ya west.
Ga ne ke se o mo go ba oma ne ke sena le bona.
No, I was not one of them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Nuss. Mr. Wesley, are you in a position to commence your cross-examination?
Chair, actually, most of my questions have been answered. As I sit here now, I don't have any.
Gati re Wesley ne ba motsa rona dipotso mo go wena a re ka madimabi go bonagala dipotso tsa gagwe tse di arabilwe.
What do you want me to do?
Bonagala ka re hana dipotso.
Chair, Mr. Tip is ready to proceed though with his cross-examination. They've asked for
Mr. Tip,
45 minutes.
would you like to cross-examine? 45 minutes you want?
Re
I'll give you
Tipi
10 now and we'll give you the rest in the morning.
Re Tipi ke ena tla go botsang ba hilwe 45 minutes go botsa dipotso.
Thank you, Chair. Again, hopefully I'll be even less than 45 minutes.
A re Tipi a ka se tsei 45 minutes e yotlhe.
Mr. Masibi, I have some questions which I'm going to put on behalf of NUM and also on behalf of Mrs. Fundi.
Re Masibi re Tip a re una le dipotso tse a tla go botsang tsona mabapi o tshore ge a emela NUM le mme Mafundi wa utlwisa ra.
Ke utlwisisa mo.
The topic that I really want to discuss with you concerns what your instructions were on that day and what you expected that you might encounter.
A re he dipotso o tla go botsa gore ge o no la etswe go dira eng ka lona tsatsi leo le gore ha o hitla go teng ko tilong eo o no o eletse o tla go hitlela go le yang expectations.
Ka nako e fe mama ga ke tlhaloganye question.
Could you please clarify the question at what time or when?
Yes, I'll do that.
A re eng tla se dira seo?
It is, I'm concerned with that day and I'm concerned with the early part of that day. And to make it more clear, I'll ask you just to look at the very first paragraph of your ICAM statement, quadruple D7.
ICAM statement.
ICAM statement, quadruple
CAM statement is
D7.
quadruple A37.
Quadruple A7. Gati ge o shebe ICAM statement ke di 847. O itse
Yes.
ICAM statement.
So there are two exhibit numbers now, so either one will do. But if you're looking at
Am I wrong in saying that quadruple A37 is the ICAM statement?
Well, it's been identified as the ICAM statement,
Yeah,
Chair.
I know that's the statement on the screen. The ICAM statement is the one you're referring to. Is this for the?
It's the same. It's
I
the
know.
same one.
No, I know. Because I think that The handwritten one is quadruple D7. But anyway, let's not waste time on that. Carry on with the cross-examination.
It's been given a fresh exhibit number, but
Yeah,
it's,
all right. We'll sort it out in the morning.
It's simply because it's in the bundle as quadruple D7, which has been handed in by Mr. Fanas. In any event, Mr. Masibi, you have the typed statement that you made.
Gati re Masibi o tshwere statement se se typilweng ke statement tsa go me yana se se typileng. I do.
And if you look at the very first paragraph, I'll read it.
Gati o shebe paragraph ya pele a re o tla e bala.
At around 5 o'clock, that's 05 HOO, I arrived at work.
A re wena o re fitlhile mmerekong ka 5 goseng.
I was deployed to patrol.
A re ge wena o no o
As we were
o tshwanetse lo patrola.
As we were informed,
A re ya ka netse re buleletswe ya le gore tla thola re le go patrola.
that there might be a gathering on the Lonman property.
Gore go ka direga gore go be le kopano e ka tshwarwang mo ko Lonmin. Mo jarteng ya Lonmin.
You with me?
Wa utlwa ra?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So that is the time that I want to discuss with you and want to get your assistance on.
A re ke yona nako e leng gore ge ke tla buisana le wena ka yona ke kopege thuso.
You reported for your shift at 5 o'clock in the morning.
O tsene ko mmerekong ka 5 goseng shift ya gago.
Yes.
Was there then some form of parade of you and your fellow officers, security officers?
Gati ha le hitla mo mmerekong go ile ga ba le parade na wena le basebetsi mmogo.
Ga ke gopole gore go ile ga nna le parade mme ka tsatsi lewa re boleletse a day before gore ka moso re tle ka 5.
I do not remember there being a parade, but we were told a day before that we should arrive at 5.
Ya re fitlha re buke di equipment tsa rona re go patrola ya ka gona le information ya gore go ka nna le kopano e singa fo molaong.
We were then told that we should then book out the equipment that we normally use, as there was information that there was going to be a meeting at Lonmin premises.
Yes. Mr. Masibi, is that what you were told when you had reported for work at 5 o'clock on that Sunday morning?
Gati e ka be seo ke se ile ngwa bolella sone ha o hitla mmerekong ka 5 ka Sondag.
Ke itsisitswe a day before.
I was informed a day before.
All right. Won't you then just tell us on the day before, when did you receive that information?
Gati ge letsatsi leo day before information we boleletswe le.
Ka a day before he no go le Saturday go ne go nnile le thulano magareng ga setlhopha sa badiri go di ofising tsa Namo.
Okay. The day before, that is Saturday, there was a confrontation between the strikers and NUM at NUM offices.
Ka ga ne ke le ko stadium ga di thulano tseo di etsagala.
As I was at the stadium when the confrontation took place,
morago ga di thulano tsewa badiri bawa ba sena ba ya ko ba dulang teng.
After the confrontation, when the strikers or the workers had gone to their place of abode, when we knocked off, we were then told that we should report for duty at 5 the following morning. That is when we were told that there was going to be a meeting of workers the following day.
Let's just take it slowly, Mr. Masibi. What time on the Saturday did you knock off?
I cannot remember when I knocked off.
All right, more or less, was it in the afternoon or the evening?
Gati e ne le motshegare wa mantsiboya kgotsa bosigo?
ne le early afternoon.
In the early afternoon.
Chair, may I suggest it's now 4 o'clock. It may be better if I deal with the question of the instruction from beginning to end in one session.
Yes, I was going to go on for a minute more, but I was clearly, in the circumstances, in the light of what you say, it's appropriate for us to take the German. Now, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, if we can manage.
As it pleases you, Chair.
Gati ge re tla bua ka moso ka 9 goseng.